Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover. All for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter 5000 at checkout. That's harrys.com, code 5000. Enjoy!
Welcome to My Creative Corner 3, a podcast about quilting, crafting, creativity, and life in a northern town. You'll find show notes at mycreativcorner3.wordpress.com. You can leave a comment, you can sign up for my patron site, you can purchase a virtual cup of coffee, or even sign up for the newsletter. Come back weekly and we'll chat. My name is Vicki, and welcome to the podcast. What a wild and crazy week it's been. Yeah, I knew before I even looked it up on Google that Monday, the 9th, was going to be a full moon. I am a believer in the full moon. I've worked in healthcare for 27 years, and I can tell you the full moon affects people. Yes, it does. Today is the 5th of March, 2020. It's got about a 3 to 6 inch snow forecast for tonight. And I'm going to tell you a funny story. We have not had the intense blizzards of years past. Oh, I'm so happy. The issue is we haven't had that much sun. And I have not used the snowblower all year. And I don't intend on using the snowblower at all for the rest of the year, if at all possible. And I think that if we get 6 inches of snow tonight, I'm going to baja out of the driveway tomorrow, or maybe even not go to work at all, because I do not want to use the snowblower. We currently are showing that we have 110 inches of snow that has fallen for the season, and our season normal is 141. The record was set in 1996 at 207. Thank goodness I did not live on the 45th parallel that year. I lived in Wisconsin. No, that was the year we moved back. It was our first winter back. No wonder it seemed like it was the worst snow ever. Oh my gosh. See what trauma all that snow does. So we are at 110 inches, and my husband has done all of the snow blowing on our antique, it's old piece of junk snowblower it's served us well. I should not speak ill of the snowblower, but it's ready to retire and go to Florida, and it needs to be replaced. And I want a tractor with an electric start. And if I'm going to do snow, it needs to be, as easy as possible. So it's been wild and crazy. People have been cranky. The news has got people scared with this coronavirus thing. Nobody knows. I'm not even going to get into it, except for it's putting people on edge at work. It's putting on people on edge in the community. It's wrecking some people's plans and travel plans. And it's been the topic of debate because this weekend my husband drove to Columbus, Ohio today. And the Arnold is a sporting event that he wanted to go see. It's strongman, bodybuilding, competition. Some of his Highland Game friends are going to compete, and they're pros. And so it was going to be a grand old time, except they said spectators couldn't come. Then they were coming. Then they weren't coming. Then they could go. He's halfway there, and I think they're not going to have spectators. What a great weekend, right? I hope Columbus has a zoo or something. Or maybe they have an aquarium or something about history. He has something to do while some of the folks are competing in a Highland game that he went to watch and can't see. I feel bad for him, but at least, he got a couple days off work and is going to spend time with friends. I'm a little cheesed off about the whole thing in the Arnold because seriously, if you're going to make a decision to cancel something, you better do it more than 48 hours before the event. And a lot of people have already traveled, because some people are coming from all over the world. That's my rant for the day. And so that's been a topic of discussion all week, and so has a whole bunch of other stuff. And then today I got thinking, we're changing the clocks this weekend. I got to figure out how to do that. That's normally my husband's job. And I don't even know how to set our alarm clock. Maybe I'll use my cell phone instead. But, it's the things that I'm like, it's got to be getting close. People are sick. People are cranky. People are forgetting appointments, coming wrong days, wrong times. Oh, boy. Yep. Hopefully spring will get here and it will alleviate all of this. And I'm jealous of those who went and planned better than me and have had a trip to Sunshine. Now, I'm going to say last weekend I went to Autorama in Detroit. And it was a spectacular weekend. It was in the 40s all weekend. Saw the kids. Weekend before, saw my parents. So when you get out of the 45th parallel area, the snow is gone and they're having a little more sun. And yes, my sister of Our Creative Souls took pictures and sent them to me of her crocuses that are blooming in her yard. I still have probably 3 feet of snow in my backyard. And this year, I'm right and truly sick of it. So enough on that. What have I been sewing? Well, last week I wrapped up the improv triangle quilt that Nick Ball had of Quilts from the Attic on Instagram. And I started up the Pat Sloan Traffic Jam quilt. It's a free pattern that Pat Sloan has on her website, and it's a great stash buster. So I've been working on that. I've got 6 blocks done. My goal was to get about, a block a day. I had a head start and went out of town, so I cheated a little bit, and I have 6 blocks. But I want to make at least one twin size with the color palette I have, and maybe another twin size with a little bit of a different color palette, potentially for my granddaughters. Now, the other thing is I just did a Facebook Live with my group on My Creative Corner 3, and I told them some pluses and minuses of doing the pieced border. And if you want to hear that whole thing, you can go, if you aren't already a member, join up and you can hear the whole reason why I am not a fan of pieced borders, because I don't ever get them to line up right. The quilt is crooked, and it takes a lot of skill to do a pieced border, and my hat is off, and I salute all of those who can do a pieced border. But this is my reasoning. I'm a long arm quilter and I love free motion quilting. That 9-patch pieced border will not do feathers well, and I want to put feathers on this. And I also want to focus on the secondary pattern in the quilt, and you'll have to go look up the quilt to see it. And I think that will make it a little less busy. And I don't like traffic jams too much, but I don't mind moderate traffic. I know. Did you see what I did there? So this week I've been working on the traffic jam quilt, and I haven't loaded anything on the long arm. I'm hoping to load a little wall hanging on that is in my customer quilt pile. It's a Christmas quilt, so I can't wait. I'd like to do little snowflakes and holly leaves is my plan. And that brings me to, I've been having a great time doing 2 daily prompt challenges on Instagram. One is IG Quilt Fest, and I've been posting that on Instagram every day and also on the Vicki Holloway quilting page. That is done by Amy's Creative Side. And she is a modern quilter, and every year she does IG Quilt Fest and comes up with the prompts. They do little prizes and things. I've never won, but it's always fun because if you follow the hashtag, you learn all about different people and different aspects of the business in quilting. So IG Quilt Fest started with introductions. My favorite technique with a tip was free motion quilting, and practicing by doodling on paper first was my tip. And then it was, what was the other one? Seem to have lost it here on my phone. It was today's was weird. It was quilting on the go. I don't do quilting on the go, so I said I don't really relate to that, but English paper piecing is about as portable of a project as you can get, and that is about all I do, because if I try to sew in the car, I'll be car sick. And then Creative Hands was just a little video of me working on chain piecing and cutting thread. So that's been super cool. Now the other IG month-long prompt I'm doing, because it's about small businesses and your small business story, which I've been trying to figure out if I am a small business or not with my podcast. But I did March Meet the Maker. Oh man, I just realized I've been using the wrong hashtag. I'm going to have to go add that. Is hashtag March Meet the Maker, and it's hosted by Joanne Hawker. Now, see, look, I've been doing that for 5 days, and I've been using the wrong darn hashtag, Meet the Maker. So this is more about your business story, your hands at work. Everybody is doing hands. That's like an Instagram fad right now. I am not so sure I'm a big fan of people's hands holding stuff. The other part is I don't like my chubby hands in pictures, and I don't have great nails. It just makes it stressful. It's way too stressful for hands holding things. So it's a fad. I know for a while there it was feet. Yeah, everybody's feet. And then we talked about branding and time and a close-up. So yeah, I've been doing some Instagram prompts, and I've really enjoyed it. I've been also stitching a little bit in the evening on my English paper pieced temperature quilt. I have not made a ton of progress, and it's going to be about like the 1 or 2 rows that I'm knitting on my cowl. They're going to be forever projects, and I hope that by the time I retire, they will be done. And it's okay. Hand stitching stuff in slow stitching is zen and calm and really relaxing, and I love it. But then I get stressed in the back of my mind going, you should be done by now. This is taking way too long. Why isn't it done? You have all the stuff that you need to do. No, I want to do. Or you should be doing. No, I shouldn't be doing anything. I'm relaxing, because quilting is supposed to be relaxing and a hobby, and it's not a race. It's about the process. See, I keep telling myself that because sometimes I need that advice. I need it a lot. And with all this ups and downs this week, it's in the Instagram IG Quilt Fest asked one prompt that I want to talk about a little bit more. And the prompt was before Instagram. And it really got me nostalgic. I can't believe how much emotion that prompt was. It was done a couple days ago, and I was like, let me read you my post. Before Instagram was a simpler time of blogging and blogging circles. And I showed several pictures of quilts that I made before Instagram. And I started blogging in about 2008. And I did a friendship triangle quilt. Now that was from the friendship quilts, and we did a half square triangle exchange. Oh my gosh, I love that quilt. And the next one was a Civil War diary quilt, where I taught myself how to paper piece 6-inch blocks and set them on point. Never done that before. And I tried to pick more modern fabrics to make it, feel a little bit more modern than the old Civil War palette. The last quilt I did was a 8-pointed sawtooth star that was a kit I got for Christmas, and that was done before Instagram. And I use that quilt. I've used it every day this winter because it's orange and it's sunshiny, and I learned how to quilt feathers on it. Blogging back in the day, it was a simpler time. We didn't have to have all these curated feeds, and I know that Stephanie over at Modern Society said the same thing. I mean, we think we've all been waxing nostalgia over the blogging circles, and where we actually had real conversations and interactions with people. I was beyond mom blogging by then, but some people were, and some people were more into great storytelling and reading. And, I just remember the people who I used to read, and people would blog every day, and it almost felt like a soap opera or a diary, but it was so fun, and you could leave comments. See, I'm thinking we're almost to a point where people won't leave comments anymore. And that makes me sad. It's just one more level of detaching. We'll look and swipe and heart, but we can't have conversations with people anymore for fear of retaliation. But we used to have all kinds of comments and comment circles and link parties and things that were fun. Block exchanges where we actually talked to folks. I've been burned by so many of them recently. I've not done an online block exchange recently, nor have I done a little quilt exchange either. So I've been, kind of nostalgic about that. I liked having the connections with people, and I often wonder what happened to some of those people, because their blogs are gone now, and maybe they went to Instagram and changed their name, and yeah, it's like friends moving away. You just don't you don't know what happened to them. And I miss that. And blogging circles, part of the issue is that there's so many places that people go, and there's so many people, and there's so much that you don't really ever get to see with the algorithms. You don't get to see people's feeds enough unless somehow you do make a connection and you seek them out. And even then, I still find that people are posting things and I don't see that, and it upsets me because I really would like to keep up with folks. And it's not like you can do that with social media like you could with blogging circles. I still use Blog Lovin', but I don't go on it much anymore because people don't blog. They're like launching websites for their businesses, and there's not a lot of storytelling and writing, and I kind of miss that. And I think that's why I still love homegrown podcasts, where it's just people talking, and it's like old school radio, as Francis calls it on Off Kilter Quilt. And it's just, it's fun. It's fun to hear people, hear their stories, and what's going on in the world. And I'm telling about the snow and being all cooped up, and I'm not running that snowblower. I'm telling you, I am not doing it. I'm really not going to run that snowblower. I'm looking outside going, yeah, it's snowing a little bit. I'm going to pretend that it's not. So that's just been something that I find interesting. And I think that's where, I just want things to slow down a little bit and enjoy. And it would be fun to be able to go and have that experience again someday, of what it was like when blogging was new, and you could follow people and actually keep up with them and ask them what happened and how they're doing after their surgery or their baby, or things where it was more of a real connection versus swipe heart. And I've gone to other social media platforms, and I'm kind of like, it's just not for me. Not for me at all. like TikTok. I went on TikTok. I have an account, posted a couple things, but there's one or two really good things about TikTok, but they have also migrated over now to Instagram. But most of it's just weird dancing and people being silly and and it's 1 minute video. So it's like too much overstimulation for my brain. I have to say, I had the best time on Stephanie Socha's Make and Decorate podcast. I was on episode 45, and we talked about everything. We talked about things we had in common because we're Midwesterners. She's from Chicago. She knows what cold winters are like. We both like football. We both like quilting. We talked it was so much fun. Check out her podcast, Make and Decorate. She does a more interview style podcast. She does a little chat at the beginning, and occasionally she'll do shows where she doesn't have someone that she's interviewing. But I really enjoyed her podcast. She's had some great guests recently, and if you haven't heard the one before mine, you should, because it also talked a little bit about this nostalgia and actually it was episode 43 with Sophia of My Great Challenge. What I really liked about her is she is a YouTuber, and she talks a lot about cleaning the house using systems that work for her. It sounds like she's done some Fly Lady stuff, but I really like her interview because it just made me feel so good about where I'm at with parting with things and going through this stuff that I have that I've inherited, and it's just really hard, letting go of things because of memories is really hard, right? And that's kind of where I'm at, with the decluttering and going through and organizing and all that business. So check out Make and Decorate, because I really enjoyed the My Greatest Challenge was her guest. That's the name of the YouTube channel that she has. And it was super, super fun. So we had a good time. So then, I've also wanted to talk about some other podcasts besides Stephanie's. I've been listening to Secret Slob, and I love her. She has a podcast where she talks about things that she's blogged about for a long time. And this week on Secret Slob, it is Ruthless Decluttering. And she talks about the benefits of doing all of your ongoing decluttering, because it gets easier and you become less bogged down in all of the stuff because you've already decluttered it once. But she made a big point on her podcast that it's never over, right? It's never done. You're always decluttering. As long as you have stuff in them and you buy things and you get things, you got to throw things out and make room for more. And there's only so much space you can put in your container, or home, as she calls it. So A Slob Comes Clean is the name of her podcast, and I may have told you the wrong name. Her name is Dana White. A Slob Comes Clean. She also did, last week was the basics, getting started or back on track, how to chill out about and in your home. I loved that podcast. So that's been fun. I haven't listened to her more than a few months, but A Slob Comes Clean. She also blogs if you would rather read about it. She has a nice blogging setup, and she also has a book that she talks about quite a bit on her podcast too. So some other things that I've really been loving on Netflix. I am finishing up The Repair Shop. Totally love it. It's a nostalgia. See, that's the theme this week. Nostalgia. People bring in their family heirlooms that they have that may have been broken or need of restoration or fixing, and keeping it to pass on to the next generation. Oh, it's a British show. They have some amazing things. There's a couple ladies who do teddy bears and toys. And the last couple episodes I've seen, they have done amazing work all by hand and cleaning up the fur and just making the toys come alive. It's been great. I've also been watching some car repair shows. I like cars. I do. That's why I went to Autorama with my family. But we've been watching Goons Squad. It's two brothers who are just learning about repairing, restoring, and modifying cars. And that's been fun because I'm learning about cars a little bit, just enough to understand what I'm looking at when I go to these shows. And I'm not really, a car person where I would ever rebuild an engine or know anything about looking at one, but that's super fun. And I still enjoy the Tri Channel, and it is really crazy, silly comedy. And it's like it sounds. People are trying things, and they're all Irish people, and so there's lots of comedy on that. So those are some things that I've really been enjoying. I've been slowly going through my stuff and trying to figure out what would be a good thing to do as the group for the My Creative Corner Facebook group, because this month we're doing Pat Sloan's Traffic Jam, as I mentioned earlier. But I've been taking quilts to work and hanging them on the metal door with some magnets, magnetic clips. And I've been calling it Quilts in the Office. And I took in my improv bookcase quilt. I think that's the project that we'll work on for the group next month. I'll show a video on how I improvisationally pieced the books out of scraps, and then you just need a certain yardage for the borders and for the shelves. It's really a fun project to make, and I'm not sure that I'll make another one, but I will definitely do a tutorial and do a little bit of sewing along with everybody for that. That's my current plan for April, subject to change, but I've been enjoying that. Just reminiscing as I, again, nostalgically pull out old quilts and hang them up at work. And it's really helps brighten up the institutional, walls. Not like it was an institution. This building is 80 some years old. It was built as a TB sanitarium. It's institutional. And I'm trying to soften it up a little bit, make it feel a little more homey. And I think the patients like it. I think the staff like it too. And it definitely brightens up and softens the walls and the long hallways that are in this place. I'm laughing because it's just so creepy in there. It's really a creepy building. There are days when it's creepy in the winter especially, but the quilts make it a happy place. And I enjoy looking at the quilts and reliving it, and really having a lot of opportunities to talk to people about quilts and about how I made the quilts and where I found the fabric and the memories attached to the quilts. It's really been a great icebreaker, and I really am finding that I enjoy talking about quilts in person too. I'm getting over the fear of being self-conscious about talking about quilts and how I made it, and I'm not getting the why are you quilting? That's a little over the top, taking good fabric and cutting it up, right? Do you hear that a lot, quilters? But what I'm finding is people are really appreciating the hard work and the artistic expression that are in a lot of quilts. And books, the book quilt is one of my favorites. It really, really is. So with all of the pre-full moon craziness that's been going on in my life and ups and downs and all arounds, I have to say, update. Just got a call from my husband, and I think all is well. He may be able to see a few things, and he's hanging out with friends, and I think that the athletic events. He got to do some volunteer work, and we'll be able to see some. So I'm pretty happy. I think maybe the world is starting to right itself a bit, and spring needs to get here. Spring really, really needs to get here. So I want to encourage you to check out the podcast Zen and the Art of Creativity. I've got some really good feedback. In fact, I want to read one review about the premium podcast. You can get it on my Etsy shop. It's $8, and I am so appreciative of Barbara. She is a big supporter of the podcast, and she bought the premium podcast, and she said this is such a great motivational tool to get you centered while you craft or quilt. There was a lot of research, helpful hints, and valuable information. It has really helped me prioritize and enjoy my sewing time and not think too much ahead. Vicky's voice is very soothing and easy to listen to. Overall, well worth the purchase price, and I would highly recommend it, and I hope she makes more. Oh, thanks, Barbara. Thank you so much. And I hope to make more too. I need to do some more research, and that's part of who I am. I like to dig into something and do a deep dive and then share what I learned about it. On Etsy, you can also buy me a virtual cup of coffee through either the $5 or $10 price point. And I still have a patron program, and I have to record the patron extra for this month, but don't fret, patrons. I will definitely do that. If you are a patron of the show, I want to set up a private patron only Facebook group, and so far I only have me and one other person. So if you are a patron of the show, get a hold of me so I can invite you to the group, and that we can have some chats about what we want to talk about on the podcast and some other probably deep dive conversations about topics on the podcast. So newsletter, I'm going to send one out probably mid-month. If you want to sign up for the newsletter, that's easy to do. You can go on mycreativecorner3.wordpress.com. Show notes are there, and feel free to leave a comment. I know public comments can be hard, but it's a friendly place, and so far so good. We have had no negative comment people. And I also want to tell you that I had no voicemails this week. But if you would like to leave me a verbal or audio comment, you can do that too. Just dial 231-577-6681, and you can leave me an audio comment, and I may feature that in a future episode. 231-577-6681. Thank you for listening to this week's podcast. Be sure to check out the interview I had with Stephanie on Make and Decorate. Love her podcast. And I hope that you have a great daylight savings time weekend. I hope that the full moon, all of that pre-full moon stuff is over with, and your weekend is absolutely fabulous. And I am going to, fingers crossed, not have to snowblow the driveway and have a couple of days to really work on some customer projects and really, really want to clean this place up. So I'm going to listen to A Slob Comes Clean for motivation while I am working on the house, and probably put a little Diane in Denmark, who was a Fly Lady proponent, and be motivated. So you have a fantastic week, wonderful weekend. I hope that you don't miss too much of your hour of sleep if you are on daylight savings time like I am. Be creative and quilt on, everyone.
Whether you're streaming, gaming, video chatting, or doing it all at once, Gig Speed Internet from Xfinity makes you a multitasking champion. That's simple, easy, awesome. Learn more about Gig Speed Internet or ask about other popular plans. Enjoy faster downloads, more of the gaming you love, and a better streaming experience on all your devices. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit an Xfinity store to get a great offer. Restrictions apply. Actual speeds vary and not guaranteed.
Here's the thing about new Cherry Vanilla Coke. Though cherry's named first, all the flavors taste just as great. I mean, it could have just as easily been Vanilla Cherry Coke, or it could have been Coke Cherry Vanilla. And since it's two amazing flavors of Coke, it might have been Coke Vanilla Cherry Coke or Cherry Vanilla Coke Coke. Unless you're in France, which would make it Le Coke de la Vanilla de la Cherry de la Crème. New Cherry Vanilla Coke, so good together. And new Cherry Vanilla Coke Zero Sugar, same great taste, zero sugar.